is talk about renaming for a little bit, because there's an option to rename as you're importing. You can rename while you're in Lightroom, and you can rename on export. And my feeling is generally you don't need to rename on import. If you have cameras, the only reason why you might is I have my cameras set to do continuous numbering, so 1 through 9,999. I had 2 bodies working, and every once in a while they would duplicate numbers. But if you have the advantage, some of the newer cameras allow you to pre-program what your numbering is going to be. It's in your camera preferences. And so on one of my new body, I have I put my initials first, so that when I'm using that, and I'm using one of my older cameras with the IMG, which is a standard one, there's never going to be any duplication. So I sort of got away from it there. And what I'm suggesting for clarity purposes, that you only rename files that are in Lightroom, when they're in Lightroom. Because if you have done numbers in Lightroom, and then you export, and you give them a number on export, that number is going to be different. And if you give it to a client with a different number, it's just going to make for confusion when they come back and say, oh, I love number 48. It's like, oh, well, which one was that? So I number it within Lightroom, and then I stick with it, because I don't want any confusion with that. So if you want to renumber an image, you could go to the library menu and down to rename photo. You also see here that there's F2 is the keyboard shortcut, and that's what I usually use. So you can do this to one image or selected images or all images. So I'll just tell you, basically my workflow with a wedding is to go through the entire job, mark for deletion what I want deleted, then delete those, and then with my remaining images, select all of them and rename to a sequence. So if I do F2, actually let me do Command A to select all of them. And then the F2 is a shortcut. What I would typically do at the end of a wedding is, bless you, there are a couple ways of handling it. If I'm turning it into the studio that I shoot for, I just do sequence number only, and if it's my direct client, I put my own name on it, and I keep it with that. So if I just do sequence number only, it shows you right down here an example of what it's going to look like. So I would name that whole job starting at 001, and then the whole job has that number. You know, each image has its own number, and that's the number that it's going to live with. For my own client, for my own jobs, I typically, as you see on these images here, I have my name and I have the capture date, and then I use the original file number that's there. So let's see, right here. So that's the date, and that's the original file number.